Have you realized how life unpredictable is, especially for pets? One day they are jumping in the backyard, full of joy and brimming with life. The next day, they're all limping around the house, crippled with a crazy disease. The good news is, you can do a whole lot to improve your pet's well-being and prevent diseases. Here is the conclusive pet insurance playbook that teaches you how to find a cheap policy with tons of benefits that will make your puppy or kitty play, roll, jump around, and wag its tail. This is unmissable. Stay tuned. Hello. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Sweetie Kiwi Show, the world's largest infotainment show. How you doing? I hope you are doing fantastic, because you know what? I'm doing marvelous. And today we're going to talk about pet insurance, and I want to make sure that your pet is taken care of now going forward, and that you have the proper info to provide the best health care to your cutie pie. Now, before we jump into the nitty-gritty here, are you comfortable? All right. If you are, grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka, and let's roll. Before I start, I want to give a shout out to millions of viewers and listeners and fans in the United States and Canada, the UK, Australia, and the whole wide world. We love you. I want to give a specific shout out to Riley Matthews in Kelowna, British Columbia, to Gabby Reed in Nanaimo, British Columbia, and Brooke Taylor in Kamloops, British Columbia, in the beautiful country of Canada. We love you. Thank you so much for your support and everything. And thank you. We love your families, your respective families. Now, before I talk about pet insurance here, let me give you a list of pet types, because it is very important. A lot of people think that animals, pets just come in cats and dogs. You only have two categories of pets. You are getting it wrong. There are nearly 85 different types of animals that Americans and Canadians consider as pets, right? Consider as pet. Now, when it comes to pet, many people automatically think of dogs and cats, right? So the thing here is that animals considered pets range from those we know, dogs, cats, hamsters, and squirrels, right, to those most people rarely see, which are called exotics, including gerbils, chinchillas, and sugar gliders. Sugar gliders. I love that name. Sugar gliders. I need to adopt a sugar glider. Let's take a quick look at a sample of different animals you can consider. Now, you have the house pets, right? Indoor or outdoor and indoors, right? Dogs, cats, and then you have the exotics. Again, I define what exotic stands for, right? Those are animals that people rarely see. So you have the muntjac deer. Now, what I'm going to do is that as I cite a name of an animal that is exotic, we're going to put the for the viewers, we are going to put the picture of the animal on the video, so you can see what the animal looks like. Now, for those listeners and the fans over the world, you just have to listen to my beautiful voice. All right, so you have, in terms of exotics, you have muntjac deer, raccoons, ring-tailed possum, and short-tailed possum. Now, for small pets, and that includes mammals and rodents, a lot of Americans are now getting in love. They are falling in love with those small pets, the mammals and the rodents. And those includes rabbits, guinea pigs, mice, hamster, gerbils, rats, hedgehogs, ferrets, chinchillas. I love chinchillas. They look fantastic. Squirrels, and my favorite, sugar gliders. So you have seen, you've seen the pictures of those exotic pets so far. Now we're going to move into the category of birds or avian animals. So first we have the small parrots. So we have the parakeets, the cockatiels, the lovebirds, the conures, and the lorikeets. Those are small parrots. Now let's move on to the mid-sized parrots. A lot of Americans, believe it or not, are now also adopting, and there was a recent news article that mentioned that as many as 500,000 Americans now own birds as pets. That's huge. Think about it. 500,000 Americans. So let's move on to mid-sized parrots. First one is cakes. I don't know if that's a cake, whatever. I mean, the way you spell it is CAIQUES, kicks or kikes. If you know how to pronounce it, please just put your put in the comment section, because I need to learn something. Then you have the eclectus, the pioneers, the Myers parrots, the red-bellied parrots, and the Senegal parrot. This is very interesting. Senegal parrots. I don't know. Is it because the parrot is originating from Senegal, which is a country, I believe, in West Africa, or it's just a name that somebody has assigned to that parrot? Now, next category is large parrots. So you have the Amazon. I'm not talking about Jeff Bezos' company here. The African gray, the cockatoo, and the macaw. Put in the comment section if you own or you are the owner of one of those, those birds. Share with the community your experience with the birds in terms of maintenance. We are interested. We want to know. Now, in terms of birds and avian animals, you still have finches, canaries, doves, pigeons, toucans, myna birds, pheasants, quail, falcons, hawks. So that's it for birds. Now let's move on to reptiles, amphibians, and land invertebrates. So we have lizards, so chameleons, geckos, iguanids, monitors, skinks. Next we have snakes, amphibians such as frogs, salamanders, turtles, tortoises, and scorpions. And in terms of land invertebrates, you have crabs and snails. Now this is kind of interesting because there is a difference between turtles and tortoises. Now did you know the differences between a turtle and a tortoise? If you do, just put it in the comment section. We are interested to see how intelligent our viewers are when it comes to differentiating very exotic pets. So now you also have outdoor pets, right? So horses, miniature horses, and ponies. Remember that ponies are different from miniature horses, so it's good to know. Burros, goats, right? Llamas or llamas. I don't know if you want to pronounce it in Spanish or not, but llamas. Pot-bellied pigs, ducks, and geese. Now, one thing we have to understand here is that the notion of pets, it's not only a cultural notion, but also I would say, anthropological notion. In other words, it depends on. This is a sign of times. An animal that today is considered pet may be considered food tomorrow, or was considered food in the past. So, if you have, for instance, a lot of Americans are now choosing goats as pets, whereas goat is consumed as food in other countries. Or if you go to India, for instance, you have a lot of cows wandering around, and whereas cow meat is considered food in America. So it is really a social construct. So we want to really think about that when you think about pet. So this is just I just wanted to give you an idea of what is considered pets, so you sort of think beyond the notions of kitten and puppies, and know that there are 85 different animals that Americans today are considering pets, and the insurance industry had to adapt. Which is why I am giving you this info, so you have an idea of when you talk to your pet insurance company, what kind of conditions they can treat or not. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks. I hope you are enjoying this conversation so far. We're having a conversation about pet insurance, and before I talked about the best way to find the best pet insurance, I want to have a quick conversation around pet fish. Now, I know what you're talking about, that fish is not pet. You'll be surprised. Again, as I was telling you, the notion of pet is a social and anthropological construct. So you might be a fish lover. I mean, I love fish. I eat fish. I eat seafood. But nowadays there are some fish that are considered pets. And the thing is that many people wonder if pet fish, blah 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 blah, pet fish, right? Many people wonder if pet fish can be insured. Now the answer is very simple. Yes. Now the thing is, you want to find an insurer that will accept your aquatic baby, right? And you want to find a vet who is skilled and willing to treat him or her. Now the market for fish care is booming in the United States, and many people are now adopting many types of exotic fish as pet instead of fish, right? Again, thinking about if you have a cultural change or anthropological change, people are looking at animal that was considered food before as pet now. So aquarium animals that can be considered pet include freshwater fish and pond fish. You have mini reefs, that is corals and invertebrates, right? You have saltwater fish. And the thing here is that the reason why I want to cover this before I go into the actual insurance issues for dogs and cats is because fish sort of face some very specific health issues. Now, all living creatures, right, they are open to disease. There is a risk of pathology here, but fish have the added risk that they are in water environment, right? So there are a lot of things that could cause them to become sick. So things like white spots, bulging eyes, changed attitudes and behaviors, lesions or difficulty breathing. Those could be symptoms of a lot of diseases, including coral fish disease. There are things called ammonia or chlorine poisoning. You have fin rot from bacteria or fungi. You have bacterial or fungal infections, and you have parasites, right? Among other things. Now, the thing here is that the question is, does it cost a lot to treat health issues for fish? Now, according to the American Vet Medical Association, the American Veterinary Medical Association, it costs around $25 to $100 per year for routine or wellness care for fish. So again, it all depends on your fish, right? But if your pet fish requires a procedures that is a little more advanced, I'm talking about MRI, CT scan, fecal exam, blood sample or biopsy or X-ray, that kind of stuff, the cost could quickly double or triple. And it could run into the hundreds or if even thousands of dollars if you have a very exotic fish. Now, the thing here is that pet insurance for fish can make sense if you have a special bond with your fish, right? Because the thing is that for you to really, it's a cost, right? So fish diseases can develop quickly because of the water, the aquatic environment that I talked about. So you really want to understand that you want to have a reason to insure your fish. And the other thing here is that you have to know your fish, whether your fish it has a genetic precondition or a genetic predisposition to disease, right? And you also want to make sure that there is a vet in your area who has the qualification and the time to take care of your pet fish. Now, normally the premium for pet fish insurance is sort of similar to other types of pet insurance, and you have things that you have coverage that includes sometimes pre-existing conditions, with no exceptions, caps, deductible, or waiting periods, right? So the thing here is that the bottom line is, before you choose pet fish insurance, please talk to your insurance company. Ask them whether they have a vet who is associated with them in your area where you live before you even spend money. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another section of this wonderful show. We are talking about something serious now. Sweetie Kiwi is the biggest infotainment show around. We cover information, but we also cover entertainment. Now, today we are talking about something serious, and this is information. We want to save you money. For those who just joined the show, we are trying to give our viewers and listeners, we are giving them the conclusive pet insurance playbook. How to find a cheap policy with tons of benefits that will make your puppy or kitty play, roll, jump around, and wag its tail, right? Who doesn't love their puppies and kitties to wag its tail? We love that. I love it too, as a matter of fact. Do we have a puppy in the studio here? No. I want a puppy. I want a puppy. I want a puppy. Okay, let's get serious here. All right. The third section here is about pet health insurance. But before I do that, I want to give a shout out to Stanley Bailey in Datto, Arkansas, Danny Clark in Springdale, Arkansas, and Lily Wood in Stamps, Arkansas. So Lily Wood, Danny Clark, and Stanley Bailey, I love you. I love you. Well, respect your families. Thanks for the support. Thanks for all the encouragement, the feedback. We appreciate it. Now let's talk about health insurance, pet health insurance, which is really the biggie we have to cover today. Now, pet insurance is basically a healthcare policy that covers the cost of vet care, and this happens if your pet becomes injured or sick, right? If you have a dog, cat, or exotic pet, you probably visit the vet on a regular basis. If not, you should, right? You should. And regular basis means once a year or twice a year, or even once every quarter, depending on your pet. And sometimes those visits can be expensive, right? Because especially if you have a disease or emergency requires tests or surgery, right? Now, the thing is that pet health insurance is similar. If you think about it, it's very simple and similar to human health insurance policies because they include things like caps, deductible, annual premiums, co-pays, and the list goes on. Now, health insurance is available for all types of pets. As I said before, dogs, cats, and the exotics that I talked about, the birds, the reptiles, the pot-bellied pigs, and various other rodents. There are some criteria that insurers use to determine the cost of coverage, and this include the level of care you want as a pet owner, right? The health profile of your pet, and most importantly, the animal's age. So, as you can imagine, older animals cost more to cover, right? And the thing here is that some insurers even have age limits. So for dogs, it's somewhere around 14 or 15 years of age, right? And on top of that, there may be exclusions for pre-existing conditions, right? And this is so you have to answer all those questions and ask your insurers about those specifications before you even get into a contract, right? Because some insurers even do not cover certain breeds that are prone to hereditary conditions. For example, hip dysplasia in some dogs, right? So the thing here is that, and there is a biggie. Here is a biggie, folks. Unlike human health insurance, most pet insurance policies, they are based on reimbursement. So that means that you have to fork over whatever, how much, hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars before they reimburse you. So what you have to do is you are responsible for payment. You make the payment, and then you submit a claim, and the insurance company reviews everything, and if everything passes muster, then you are reimbursed. They cut a check for you. Now, there are 3 general levels of coverage really that you need to be aware of. Now, there is the basic coverage. If you decide to go with insurance, pet health insurance, there is a basic coverage, which is very important. This is the least expensive coverage you can have, and it includes things like it has the lowest reimbursements for procedures, and will help pay for accidental injuries, poisoning, and illnesses, including cancer. I know I can hear you asking, oh, does this include cancer? Yes, it does. It does include cancer. So this policies typically include, an annual deductible, right? So you have caps on reimbursement per accident or illness, as well as caps on total reimbursement per policy term. So for instance, there might be a cap of $2,000 on reimbursement per accident or illness, and $5,000 cap on total reimbursement per year, for instance, right? So that's for basic coverage. Now, the second part is comprehensive coverage. Now, this one is a little more expensive than basic coverage. Makes sense, right? You are moving from basic to comprehensive, so it makes sense. Now, of course, it is more expensive, but it also comes with more benefits, right? So you have reimbursement for accidental injuries, emergencies, and illnesses, right? It also covers, office visits, diagnostic tests, x-rays, lab fees, prescriptions. Now, the thing is that these policies feature lower annual deductibles than those for basic coverage, but they also have capped reimbursement. They have cap for reimbursement per accident and illness, as well as total reimbursement for the policy term. So, the example that I gave earlier about $2,000 cap on reimbursement per accident or illness, and a $5,000 cap on total reimbursement per year also apply for a comprehensive coverage policy. Now, in addition to that, if you have the budget and you love your puppy or kitten enough, I'm sure you do. Just kidding. But the pet welfare protection provides add-ons, extra protection, and you can have that if your bank account allows you to do so. So what it does is the pet welfare protection reimburses you for preventative care, including physical exams, flea and heartworm preventions, and vaccinations. Now, remember, there is, an insurance company does not allow a deductible for welfare, right? However, there is a nominal deductible for other medical services. So this is just good to know. I'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another section of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are enjoying this show so far, because I am enjoying it. And if you just joined the show and you just like this sort of content, please consider subscribing to our channel. We provide wonderful content every day. We ship gems of beautiful content every single day. Sometimes we do twice or 3 times, depending on how we feel, whether we are tired, inspired, and so on and so forth. Subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell so you are notified whenever we drop a new show. Like this content if you like the sort of content we are sharing with you. We want to make sure pet owners know all the info so they can avoid making mistakes. Share this video, because it's unbelievable. You'll be surprised how many thousands of Americans are pet owners and they don't have access to the right info. People are making their pet get sick and die out of ignorance, and this must be stopped. So please share so that everybody knows what's happening here. And also, this is just a little request here. Please watch the ads that we serve on our video. Please watch those ads because we need the resource. Our production team needs resources to continue providing free content. Our production team need the time and resources to hire more people, expand, do more investigations, more research, more interviews, more surveys, that kind of stuff. Cost money. All right. Now let's talk about coverage details. Pet health insurance coverage details. Before I talk about that, please remember that in this show, we're telling you everything you ever wanted to hear and know about pet insurance. It's a fact. Pets are expensive. According to the American Pet Products Association, it is estimated that pet owners spend on average $75 billion on their pets each year. Worldwide, that number is 100 billion. You are right. 100 billion. This is the number. That number includes expenses such as food, medications, supplies, and veterinary care. And if your pet is insured, you could get a significant portion of those out-of-pocket costs covered, right? So just FYI, this show is not about liability insurance. The type that protects you when you are responsible for paying if someone is injured or property gets damaged in an incident involving your pets. So this is very important to specify here. Now, when you get pet health insurance, what are the coverage details? What type of plan do you have? Now, there are 4 types of plans when it comes to pet insurance, and I'm going to break them down for you. Number 1, accident-only plans. This covers incidents and injuries, right? So things like poisoning, foreign, ingestion of foreign objects. If your pet is hit by a car or ligament tears, that's accident-only plans. Second category, accident and illness plan. Now this is the standard type of plan, right? So it covers accidents. So it covers everything that an accident-only plans cover, plus illnesses such as infections, cancer, allergies, and digestive issues. All right. The third category of coverage is insurance with embedded illness. Now this is important, especially if you have a breed that is prone to, diseases. It might be recommended for you. This comprehensive plan covers everything it covers every type of accident and illness. And in some cases, you have to check with the insurance company, but in some cases, they may cover heartworm prevention, vaccinations, dietary consultations, flea and tick medication, dental care, cremation, and burial. Right? And the last part of the coverage details is endorsement. So the endorsement in the insurance industry jargon, it's also called riders. So endorsement are referred to as riders. So these include cancer or wellness add-ons. So depending on your insurance provider, wellness plans typically, you can purchase wellness plans as an add-on, but the thing here is that depending on your insurer, they might offer it as an add-on or as a separate plan. So double check with your insurance company. Now, among the 4 types of pet insurance, 98% of insured pets are covered by either accident or illness insurance, or insurance with a wellness add-on, according to the NAFIA. So this is kind of important to know because you want to know which type of insurance to get for your pet. So you want to be in a position where you know exactly which kind of insurance you want to get. So 98% of insured pets are covered by either accident or illness insurance. All right. The remaining 2% is covered by accident only coverage. So accident only is the cheapest you can get, but the majority of Americans prefer to cover their pet 100%, right? Now, you also have, something you want to be aware of is also things like, deductibles, premiums, co-pays, and so forth. So this is pretty tricky, which is why you want to talk to your insurer more about that before you sign up. This is very important. Another thing that you have to think about is that, there are some exclusions that apply to pets, right? So when you shop for insurance, you need to carefully review the various plans to see what is and what is not covered, right? So basically, the bottom line is you don't want to have any major surprise should you need to file a claim, right? You want to make sure that you understand things like requirements, restrictions, exclusions, priorities, that kind of stuff. So the thing is that a lot of insurers want to make sure your pet is old enough. So usually the limit is between 5 and 12 weeks of age before they can hop on the plane, right? Now, the age requirements are slightly different for dogs and cats. So again, double check with your insurer. Now, there is also an age cap on illness and accident plans, right? So this is typically around 14 or 15, give or take. So, but the age requirements vary for dogs and cats. So if you have an old pet, make sure that you double check, because accident only insurance may be the only option available to you. We also have the pre-existing conditions that some insurance companies might assign or might waive to deny coverage, and that's very important. So you have things like congenital disorder and hereditary conditions. So most pet insurance companies will not cover any medical expenses for that particular. If your pet has a congenital disorder, most pet insurance companies will not cover that medical expense that is associated with that particular condition. So those are little things you want to really double check before you hop on any healthcare plan for your pet. Now, the thing also that you need to know is that there are some breeds. There are something called their breed specific conditions that will increase your cost. So if you have, it is very likely this is an unfair situation, but if you are the pet parent of a breed that is known to have, a breed specific condition, in other words, if there are risk for certain genetic disorders, they become a higher risk to insure. So you'll get some kind of difficulty to insure them, just so you know. We will be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks. I'm just having a good time here because we are talking about a very serious topic, and I want to save you money. I want you to understand. I want to give you an easy peasy tutorial on how to choose the best pet healthcare insurance for your cutie pie, so that you can continue, taking good care of her or him, and you can also have peace of mind while sleeping at night. So, how much does pet insurance cost? Now, the thing is that, your premium really will depend on several factors, right? I mean, as in any type of insurance, there are certain things that matter. For instance, your own pet, right? The pet, the location, the deductible, your provider, you also have things like the breed of the pet, the age, if there are some pre-existing health conditions, and if there are some risk factors. All of those things and many more play a pivotal role in determining, how much you'll have to fork over every month to the insurance company, right? So, and again, the amount can change based on the amount can change every year or every 6 months based on the change in underlying conditions, right? Or even inflation. I mean, the pet company might want to just, increase the price to just make some money. Now, one thing you need to understand here is that the North American Pet Health Insurance Association, NAPHIA, so the North American Pet Health Insurance Association, has said that the average monthly premium for a dog in 2019 in the US with accident and illness insurance was $50 and was only $20 for an accident only plan. So average monthly plan average monthly premiums for cats in 2019 were a bit lower. So you have $30 for accident and illness plans and $15 for accident only coverage. So the thing is that it's up to you to determine what really matters to you. Now, one question you need to ask yourself is, what do you want your insurance to cover? This is a key question, folks, right? This is a biggie. You want to know, you need to determine, you, the pet owner, the father of your little cutie pie, or the mother of your fur baby, what you want the insurance plan to cover. Now, most insurer will cover most pest insurance plans will cover a wide variety of illnesses and injuries, right? But they will never provide coverage for preventive care. And by preventive care, I'm talking about routine dental cleanings, lab work, vaccinations, annual exams, and so on and so forth, right? And some other types of care may not even, such as complementary therapy, may be excluded from coverage. So it's up to you to determine what's really important for you. Now, what type of insurance do you need? Again, do you need comprehensive or limited coverage plans? Comprehensive policies offer a wide variety of illnesses and injuries, right? Including the hereditary and congenital conditions, right? And you have the limited coverage policies that are just dedicated for emergencies. And by emergencies, I'm talking about poisoning, bloat, bites, foreign body ingestion, that kind of stuff. So you have to also understand that if you are willing to fork over more money, so for an additional premium, some insurers also provide coverage for costs that are associated with preventive and complementary care, breeding and behavior modification. So it's one of those things that you want to think about. Think globally as to what you really need. Now, there is another question. I know the people, a lot of Americans also are wondering whether or not they should care about pre-existing conditions. The question is, what do you want? Right? So, pre-existing conditions can affect your pet insurance coverage, right? So, for many pet insurance providers, a condition is considered pre-existing at the time signs are observed, not at the time of diagnosis. I'm going to read that to you again because this is so critical. How do you define a pre-existing condition? Now, it doesn't matter how you define it. What matters is how the insurance company understands it. So for many pet insurance providers, a condition is considered pre-existing at the time signs are observed, not at the time of diagnosis. That means that if your little cutie pie has been exhibiting signs of illness or injury before he became insured, the condition may not be covered. So it is essential, therefore, to keep in mind that most pet insurance policies also have waiting periods, right? And this goes anywhere from 10 days to 120 days. In some cases, it can even go to 6 months, depending on the insurer. So you have waiting periods before full coverage kicks in. So your best bet in this case is what? You want to get your pet insured as soon as possible to ensure that she is eligible for the most coverage, right? You want to do it ASAP. Now, the other thing you also need to know here is that you have to pay certain things. You have to pay a certain amount before your pet's care is covered, right? So like premiums, pet insurance deductible can vary. So it's all about the contractual agreements you have with your insurer. So the insurer might give you a fixed deductible, right? And another provider might allow you to have a variable deductible. In other words, the provider will allow you to set your own. Now, of course, if you are given the option to set your own, that gives you more control over your monthly payments, right? Because, highly deductibles typically equal lower premiums and vice versa. Now, the thing here is that unlike traditional annual deductibles, which are applied to all conditions and reset normally every year unless there are some crazy circumstances, some providers may require you to pay the deductible per condition as opposed to per year. So these policies might also require you to meet your deductible each time your pet develops a new medical conditions. So it's up to you to sort of analyze your pet and say, okay, what are the chances that my pet, my little cutie pie, will develop several medical conditions within a specific year? Because per condition deductibles can reset annually and or may only be required to be met once during your pet's lifetime. All right, I will be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. I want you to stay here with your pet because I want your pet to listen too. I'll be right back. Welcome back, folks, to another section of Sweetie Kiwi. We are talking about pet insurance, and this is a very important show because a lot of Americans want to get more info about pet, care, pet maintenance, pet management, pet love, pet affection, and the list goes on. And I'm very glad to fill that gap here. All right, let's talk about something here. So one thing I want to talk about here is that I first want to give a shout out to our wonderful fans and listeners and viewers. I want to give a shout out to Zach May in Suttle, Alabama, and Noel Kelly, Kingston, Alabama, and Evelyn Nicholson in Snow Hill, Alabama. I love you all. I love your family. Thanks for supporting the show. We really appreciate it. We give a big shout out to all our Alabamans who just love the show. Our millions of Americans and Canadians who love the show. Millions of Australians, New Zealand residents. Is it New Zealanders? Yeah, I think so. Or New Zealanders. I think it's New Zealanders. Comment below. Let me know if I'm wrong. I think it's a New Zealand resident. New Zealanders. And millions of British, South Africans, Germans, all over the world. We are just followed. We appreciate it. So let's just jump right into it. For those who just joined the show, in this show, we are telling you everything you ever wanted to know about pet insurance. It's a fact. Pets are expensive. According to the American Pet Products Association, it is estimated that pet owners spend on average $75 billion on their pets each year. Worldwide, that number is $100 billion. You heard it right, $100 billion. That number includes expenses such as food, medication, supplies, and veterinary care. And if your pet is insured, you could get a significant portion of those out-of-pocket costs covered. Just FYI, this show, as I said before, is not about liability insurance, because liability insurance is the type that protects you when you are responsible for paying if someone is injured or property gets damaged in an incident involving your pet. This show is about healthcare insurance for your pet. All right, now let's move on to the next section here. Does your pet need insurance? This is something that you want to think about, and I'm going to give you some clues on how to determine that. Now, pet insurance is not for everyone, right? Now, of course, it is something you need to consider if you need it, right? So, pet insurance might be excluded from your budget. It's important to think about your personal financial situation, as well as your pet lifestyle, right? And the risk factors here. And once you determine that, you need to find a plan that can meet the needs of both. So that is your financial situation and your pet's lifestyle, plus the risk factors. For example, if you have a dog breed that is predisposed to certain conditions like, joint problems or heart disease, you may want to think ahead and get coverage before those issues arise, right? This is why you need to know the risk factors that are associated, that are inherent to your pet. Now, talk to your vet, talk to your vet, and your vet will tell you the potential health risk that your pet might develop. In addition, that he or she, I'm talking about the vet here, the vet might help you also determine whether pet insurance is a good investment. Now, because besides pet insurance, there are alternatives, right? There are alternatives. The first alternative is financial assistance program, right? So there are programs. There are a lot of rich and generous people in the United States and all over the world. And what they do is they just donate cash to some charities and programs, and those programs and charities, their purpose is to provide support to those who may have trouble covering their pets' healthcare cost. Right? Of course, there are guidelines and requirements. You have some organizations that are federal that operate in the United States, and some that are locally based, right? But the thing is that in addition to that, there are some organizations that only cover specific conditions such as cancer. So, and if you need help, you can also reach out to the Humane Society. Now, the Humane Society has a very good resource on their website. And what they have is that they have a list of the different financial programs that are available there. And what they've done is they have categorized these programs by state and also alphabetically. So that's very good. So you can reach out to a financial assistance program and see if they can help you cover the cost of your health, of your not your own health here, your pet's health, right? Another thing you can do is called credit financing. Now you can reach out to you can basically charge the cost on your credit card, or you can apply for a medical credit card. Speaking of which, we have released a show on medical credit cards, and you want to check that show because it is a popular show that millions of people watched and loved. So check it out. You can get some ideas there, and the thing is that one of the most popular medical credit card is called Care Credit. It's offered by an organization called Care Credit. And the good thing is they basically offer no interest financing on vet bills for 6 to 24 months. And if the purchase is more than $200, and the thing is that they give you a promotional period. And remember, after that you have to pay, otherwise you get surcharges and fees and blah blah blah. So that's one thing you want to really pay attention to. So if you don't have insurance, and the conversation I'm having here is, if you don't have insurance and your pet gets into a medical trouble, you can request financial assistance. You can charge the amount on your own credit cards, just regular credit card. You can request financing from those medical loans, or medical loan organization or medical credit card organization. One of them is called Care Credit, right? That's number 3. Number 4, you can actually constitute yourself right now without the problem that arises. You can tap into, if you already have it, that's perfect. You can tap into something called a pet savings account. Now, this is very important, folks. Don't take it lightly. You need to have a savings account if you are a pet owner and your pet is a very, what I would call some kind of a vulnerable or fragile breed. You want to have a pet saving account whereby you just automatically put some cash every month into that account, so that it's just like an emergency account for you that you can tap into the funds to cover your pet if a problem arises. Another way you can cover the healthcare cost is by enrolling in something called a vet discount plan. Right, so in a vet discount plan, you receive you get a discount on vet services if you are a card holder or a member, right? So basically, what it is you usually pay a monthly or annual fee, and in return, you get a 25, 30%, 45% discount on all vet services and there are no restrictions, usually no restrictions or exclusions. The catch here is that the discount is only available if you see a vet that is in network. In other words, you need to double check that your vet is in network before you apply for a discount plan. Another thing you want to consider, the number 6 here, you want to think about a prescription plan, right? So a prescription plan really is kind of analogous to a vet discount plan, because you have to first pay a monthly, quarterly, or annual fee, and then you get discounts in return, right? The only difference is that the prescription plan applies only for medication your pet takes. So it doesn't really cover the actual vet services. It's only for the medication. So for instance, if your pet is getting some treatment for flea, tick, or heartworm, preventative, or vitamins or supplements, special prescription food, or any kind of prescribed medication, then the prescription plan will work. Okay, the good thing here is that some pet owners, especially in California, in Nevada, and Washington states, what they do is they combine a prescription plan along with a vet discount plan. So they're actually saving money. So they are not only covering the vet plan for services and treatments, but they're also covering what kind of prescription food, supplements, whatever. So they cover the whole 9 yards, if you will. All right, we'll be right back right after this. Don't go away. I want to hear your pet. Can I hear your pet? I'll be right back. Welcome back, folks. I hope that you are enjoying this show so far, because I am enjoying the show. And right now I want to talk about something very interesting, a very, very, very important element here. And this is, whether or not pet insurance is really worth it. Now, before I talk about that, if you just joined the show and you like the show, you like the content, you're comfortable, you're very happy to hear free content that tells you how to take care of your pet, please consider subscribing to our show. We drop daily shows like this one, good quality, high quality, very entertaining, but also informative, which is why we are called the world's largest infotainment show. If you like this kind of show, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you are informed anytime we drop new shows. Like the content, share with someone who might benefit from this content. Comment below, let us know your experience about pet healthcare insurance. The goodies, the baddies. We want to hear everything. We want to hear the whole 9 yards. Tell us the whole gamut. And we want to give a special shout out to our millions of fans in North America and in the UK. Specifically, we want to give a special shout out to Evan Pearson in Tokita, and that is Arkansas. That is in Alaska. We want to give a special shout out to Kieran Cook in Bjorka, that's in Alaska, and King Salmon. And King Salmon, there's Aaron Miller living there, King Salmon, and it's Alaska. Thank you so much for all the millions of viewers we have in Alaska and Washington State and California. We love you. We love your respective families. God bless you. Thank you so much. Let's quickly get into the nitty gritty here about whether or not pet insurance is worth it. Now, there are several cases that, several scenarios that really, where I would say that pet insurance doesn't make sense. So, for instance, if you want to have preventive care, right? Preventive care. A pet policy primarily covers accident and illnesses, right? So if your little cutie pie gets, develops chronic illnesses or gets poisoned, suffers an infection, or gets injured in a car accident, pet insurance will foot the medical bill, right? But they will only foot the bill after you've met your deductible. So if you want your policy to be comprehensive and cover routine checkups, vaccinations, flea and tick take medication, it's just better that you buy a wellness plan, right? Because some pet insurers do not offer wellness plans, but if they do, they might offer as an add-on policy. So you'll still need to sign up for an accident and illness plan. All right. And another scenario where you probably should not get pet insurance is if your pet has a pre-existing congenital or hereditary condition, right? So the thing here is that a lot of policies have something called waiting period. As I said earlier, they have a waiting period for accident and illnesses. So if your dog gets into a fight with another canine and she suffers injuries, you can't buy a policy soon after to lower the vet bill, because pet insurance will not cover congenital conditions which are present since birth, right? In addition to that, they won't cover anything else that occurs before anything else that occurs 2 or 3 or 4 months before the actual signature is put on the insurance policy. So they don't cover things like pre-existing, which happens if your dog fights with another canine. They will not cover congenital conditions. They will not cover hereditary conditions. Now, let's just quickly define what hereditary conditions are. These are genetic conditions, genetic disorders that are transmitted from your pet's parents, right? So, for instance, examples include heart disease, hip dysplasia. You have something called brachycephalic syndrome. So there are some dog breeds specifically that have something called smushed face, right? A smushed face makes it difficult for them to breathe. So they are more prone to skin problems. They are more prone to breathing complications. They are more prone to dental issues. So cats also suffer from genetic disorders such as diabetes. Some have polycystic kidney disease. Some have deafness, some have lower urinary tract disease, all kinds of stuff. So the thing here is that you want to see, if covering this conditions at all makes perfect sense in terms of the monetary aspect of things. Now, you shouldn't get pet insurance also if your pet is older. This is very important because a lot of pet insurance company have caps, right? As I said earlier, it's usually 14, 15, 16. Usually, it's 14, 15 for dogs. Now, the age varies slightly between dogs and cats. However, one thing that is important to know is that, if your pet is older when you initially sign up, your premium will be expensive. In addition to that, remember that premiums are, as anything else, in an open market economy, they are linked to inflation among other parameters. So a premium will tend to increase each year. So, the age of your pet usually factors into the spike in premium cost. So if you sign up your pet when she is 14 and your premium increases every year, by the time she's 18 or 17, if God gives her a long life, you'll be paying a lot of cash in premiums. So the thing is that if you're getting insurance for an older pet, he or she might only be eligible for an accident only plan, right? So it's up to you to really see if it makes sense to get that. Another thing that I want you to think about is that if you have a pet emergency fund, remember I said earlier, some people call it pet savings fund or pet savings account. It's just better not to get insurance then, because then you can really just sort of save money in that account every month and do it automatically, so you don't have to think about it, right? Because if you have to handle a traditional list of the long list of exclusions and restrictions and all the caps, all these things just becomes very complicated, right? So it's just better for you to not cover your pet, but save that cash for a rainy day, the day where he or she will be, sick or whatever. So you can take the money, in that pet savings account or that pet emergency fund and cover the cost, right? And another scenario where you will not need to get insurance is if your vet is not covered, right? Because if the thing is that unlike human health insurance, pet insurance does not call for any network of providers, so you can go to any licensed vet you want, right? So you get reimbursed for covered services. The problem is you need to double check to make sure that your vet is covered. So you should check with your insurer to make sure that your insurer is comfortable considering your vet as the primary vet. There is a distinction here because some insurers define a primary vet as being licensed and a member of the American Vet Medical Association. So he or she, your vet, should be licensed and a member of the American Veterinary Medical Association. The problem is, and this is very important, the problem is joining the American Veterinary Medical Association is voluntary. So some vets might want to join the Humane Society Veterinary Medical Association instead. So this is something that you want to check before your pet insurance requires your vet to be part of the the AVMA, not the HSVMA, right? Those are more like small issues that you need to sort of take care of before you sign up for an insurance company. Another thing you need to do here is that don't sign a pet insurance policy if you haven't done your homework, right? Because you want to double check. First of all, you want to double check. You want to shop around. You want to do a price comparison. There are a lot of websites online that provide quotes. That compare and contrast pet insurance providers. I mean, I call those insurance aggregators. And usually, you want to make sure that you compare everything from co-pays, deductible, comparable premiums. You want to look at things like exclusions, priorities, waiting periods, that kind of stuff. Pre-existing conditions, per incident cap, payouts, quarterly maximum, quarterly minimum, that kind of stuff. Before you get into the nitty-gritty, all right? So this is very important, and this will help you determine whether or not pet insurance is worth it. All right? I will be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks. I hope you are still enjoying this show so far. I'm having fun. I'm just having a good time because I am sharing with you very, very pretty solid information that can keep your pet secure, healthy, and jumping and wagging its tail. So, in this show, for those who just joined, in this show, I'm actually telling you everything you ever wanted to know about pet insurance. It's a fact. Pets are expensive, right? According to the American Pet Products Association, it is estimated that pet owners spend on average $75 billion on their pets each year. Worldwide, that number is $100 billion. You heard it right, $100 billion. That number includes expenses such as food, medication, supplies, and veterinary care. Now, if your pet is insured, you could get a significant portion of those out-of-pocket costs covered. Just FYI, and I just want to reiterate that this show is not about liability insurance, the type that protects you when you are responsible for paying if someone is injured or property gets damaged in an incident involving your pet, right? So here is extra coverage you might want to think about, when you shop for pet health care insurance. Now, hereditary and congenital conditions. Now, this coverage is for the cost, as I said earlier, inherited conditions and birth defects, right? Now, those don't show symptoms until later in your pet's life. So things like eye disorders, hip dysplasia, heart disease, intervertebral disc disease, IVDD. Those are important things that you might want to think about. Now, some insurers will provide this coverage as an optional add-on. So that means you have to pay extra if you'd like to add it to your plan. Now, you also can consider something called alternative therapies, right? So, similar to humans, you have things that pets also enjoy and they are not part of the traditional construct of treatments. So things like acupuncture, physiotherapy, chiropractic care, rehab therapy, hydrotherapy, and low-level laser therapy are very, very good. So the thing is that just think about it. Of course, those are add-ons, so they also will require you to fork over extra cash. If you have the fund, if you have the budget, and you think your pets might need it, go for it. Now, you can also provide extra coverage for your pet, especially for dogs, against something called behavioral issues. Now, this is things like destructive chewing, pacing, fur pulling, licking, excessive licking. This can be, those can be distressing and harmful to your pet. In addition, they can also hurt your home. Damage your home, and disrupt your family life. So if this is something that you really want to, think about, or something that is very important to you, you can get this sort of coverage. And what it does is that the coverage can be offered as an optional add-on, or it can be part of the main policy, right? Things like the next thing you need to think about is chronic conditions. Now, these are conditions that need care across multiple years. It could be multiple planned periods, such as 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. For instance, cancer, right? Those are conditions that require lifelong treatment. So cancer, diabetes fall into that category. So those are chronic conditions. So if you get a chronic condition coverage, you don't have to worry about a condition becoming ineligible for coverage just because it is ongoing, right? Again, it comes at a cost. Another thing you want to think about here is prescription medication. So if your fur baby gets hurt or sick, she may need prescription medication to alleviate the pain, to reduce the pain, right? Or just fight off an infection, or just reduced inflammation also. The thing is that she might also need medication to manage a series of chronic conditions, right? For instance, thyroid problems. So the thing is, if you have prescription medication coverage, whatever medication that you have to buy will be covered by the insurer. So this is something you need to think about. Another thing, speaking of prescription, let's think about the next one, right? When you think about prescription, we have prescription food and supplements. If you're veterinarian, let's just say vet. If your vet recommends, say, prescription foods or supplements, to help your pets with certain conditions, if you have this prescription food and supplements coverage, you can get reimbursed, right? You can get reimbursed, and so that this again doesn't have sort of impact on your budget. Now, remember one thing though, that the covered condition here does not include weight management or general maintenance, right? So if your dog or cat is fat, you're gonna have to find another solution for that. So this only covers certain health conditions that you need to double check with your insurer. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is is microchip implantation. Now, we live in a globalized world where technology is entering every purview of our lives, including even our relationships with dogs or cats or any other pets. And in some cases, your pet might need a microchip implantation. And the thing is that there is an entire industry that is currently going on, that's currently booming, when it comes to microchip implantation for pets. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. especially it's very big in the States, in Canada, and in China right now, even in Japan. Yeah. So, a microchip can seem like a small thing, but it really is it's huge. It can help in a huge way when it comes to making sure that your pet is returned to you safely, right? So the one thing you want to do is that if you get microchip implantation, the coverage, the insurer will cover that implantation. And most importantly, if there is a defect with that microchip and it has to be reimplanted, the cost will still come from the insurance company. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Welcome back to this next session of the Sweetie Kiwi Show. I'm just very happy to be with you today and enjoying this content. Very great content, great folks, millions of viewers around the world, and I just want to thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it here. Want to quickly give a shout out to Andrew Jordan in Flagstaff, Arizona, Noel Burke in Nogales, Arizona, and Anna Johnston in Levine, Arizona. You are beautiful. You guys are beautiful. Your families are beautiful. We love you. Thank you so much. We give a shout out to all, millions, tens of millions of viewers in the United States, Canada, in the UK, Germany, France. The list goes on and on and on. Now, let's talk about other things you need to know when it comes to pet insurance. Again, remember, this show is about giving you the ultimate pet insurance playbook. And I'm showing you how to find a cheap policy with tons of benefits that will make your puppy or kitty play, roll, jump around, and wag its tail. Wagging, right? So, other things you need to know. There are other things you need to know that are critical here. How does reimbursement work? The thing is that most insurers, they reimburse pet owners based on the cost of treatment, right? This is very important because, you got to spend money first. And what they do is that the insurer, they will pay a certain percentage of the total invoice after the deductible is met. So for instance, let's say the cost is $1,000 and your deductible is $200. So they will basically pay you 80% of 80% of the total cost. So they'll pay you $800. So if your deductible is $200, they will pay you, your insurer will pay you $800. So the thing is that some providers will use a benefit schedule. That means that the insurer pays the maximum amount per condition annually, regardless of the actual treatment cost. So this is very important. When you shop for pet insurance, you will come across several alternatives, and make sure you are familiar with what each alternative entails, right? Things like vet discount plans, things like prescription medication plans, right? And I think I already explained that before. So those are things you want to be really comfortable with, and things you want to really understand. Now, there are other types of pet-related insurance. So you have life and theft insurance. So life and theft coverage basically insures the lives of highly valuable animals. Now, typically, zoo and owners of championship cats, dogs, horses, and policy dogs will purchase that life and theft coverage. So the policy reimburses owners of stolen animals and pays a death benefit if an animal dies during transport or other covered events. So your pet must be very, very, very special to you if you want to get that. There are also something called general insurance protection, right? So your current homeowner's insurance policy may offer some coverage that encompasses pets. So you want to double check that. For instance, if you have liability insurance as part of your homeowner's insurance policy. So if your fur baby bites someone and causes an injury and you are sued, Your homeowners or renters insurance policy provide liability protection to defend you in court, so your legal fees are covered. Now, make sure that the particular breed that you have is not does not have a history of biting or aggressive behavior, because in that case, the policy wouldn't work, right? Most policies will exclude that. In addition, many homeowner associations restrict some breeds that are typically thought to be dangerous, right? And in that case, they might actually require you, the pet owner, to carry additional liability coverage just because the breed is just a dangerous breed, right? Now, there is something called personal property coverage. Now, if you are a pet owner who spend a lot of money on accessories for your pet, right? And these items are covered under the personal property section of standard homeowners and renters policy. That means that if something happens, if your dog's cashmere coat or anything else is stolen or damaged, you are covered. The insurance company will reimburse you. So this is pretty good to know and pretty good to have. Now, one thing I want to mention here also is that when you think about pet insurance, think about everything from your budget. Think about your personal need, your financial situation versus the health situation of the pet, right? I understand you love your pets, everything is cool, kumbaya, peace and love, blah 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 blah. But we have to be adults here, right? So your pet is important, but your personal safety also first. Your personal financial safety is very important. So don't break the bank trying to cover the pets, ad infinitum, right? The thing is, there has to be a good balance to be stricken, you have to strike a good balance between the protection of your pet, the well-being of your pet, and your own sanity, your own financial stability, and your own sanity. This is very important. So make the right decision. I will be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another section of this show. We are having fun so far. I hope you're having fun. So in this show, I tried to I tried a lot of things, and I try to tell you everything you ever wanted to know about pet insurance, right? Because think about it, it's a fact. Pets are very expensive, right? Now, the thing here is that according to the American Pet Products Association, it is estimated that pet owners spend on average $75 billion on their pets each year. Worldwide, that number is $100 billion. You heard it right, $100 billion. That number includes expenses such as food, medication, supplies, and vet care. Now, if your pet is insured, you could get a significant portion of those out-of-pocket costs covered, right? So, as I said throughout this show is not about liability insurance, because liability insurance is something different. It is insurance that protects you when you are responsible for paying if someone is injured or property gets damaged in an incident involving your pet. Okay, let's quickly now get into the recap here of this tutorial. So in this tutorial conversation, I talked to you about pet health insurance. I gave you some coverage details. I talked to you about how much it costs. I gave you criteria to determine whether your pet needs insurance, whether your pet insurance is worth it in your particular case. I also give you some pointers as to whether or not extra coverage is good for you or your pet, and other things you need to know when it comes to pet insurance. Now, here is my CTA, my call to action, because whenever we have a show, it is always a good idea to give viewers and listeners some pointers on things to do. And our fans also love our call to action. So here are today's call to action. I always say that information is power. So you have listened to this show, but action is more power, right? Action is omnipotence. Action is super powerfulness. If you don't act, then it's just pure lethargy. Act today. Act today to improve the well-being of your pet, of your fur baby, of your cutie pie. So contact several pet insurers online today. Get quotes and perform price comparison. Determine how much you can afford based on your budget and financial situation. Find out reputable vets in your area. Ensure that those vets treat your type of animal and also accept the insurance policy you are about to buy. Ask for policy add-ons and special clauses. This is very important. And consider liability insurance if you have a dog, because this type of insurance will cover any cost you are legally responsible for paying if someone is injured or property gets damaged in an incident involving your dog. This is it, folks. Thank you so much for listening to us today, today's show, and I will see you next time. Oh, wait a minute. I still have the pro tip for you. All right, here is a pro tip. Well, listen, I'll tell you the pro tip right after this. Don't go anywhere. Okay, here's a pro tip. Watch out for age restrictions. This is very important. Also, think about the vet fees, what level you want to cover. The thing you also want to think about here is that watch out for policy excess amounts increasing every year, right? The thing here is that if you claim for something, some policies will exclude cover for the same conditions the next year, so you want to double check and read the fine prints. Now, don't get caught out by vet's bill, because there is something called vet's bill inflation, and these bills go out every year. Don't get caught out. Thank you. Be marvelous and treat your pets marvelously. I'll see you next time.